Sometimes it's necessary to drive a target shape based on the translation distance of a controller or other rig node. This can usually be accomplished by a set-driven key relationship. But if the needed translation is based on the movement along two axes, another solution needs to be found. Like in my scene, where the diagonal movement of the control along the x and y axis should trigger a smile shape of the character, but not or only partially when only moved along x or y. To make this work, we can use the translation feature of the weight driver. Usually the weight driver's output is based on the direction of a target vector, but it's also possible to utilize the translation distance or a combination of both. First, I add the controller to the shape driver list. With the shape selected, which should be driven, I choose weight driver from the driver type list. By default, the weight driver only works by angle, but since we want to use the translation feature, I need to activate distance. Min and max define the lower and upper distance values between which the weight driver generates its output value. Grow defines if the maximum distance equals the driver value of 1, or if the reduction of the distance leads to a higher output value. In my case, the min value needs to be 0, which is the default position of the control. The max value I set to 7.07, which is the diagonal distance based on the x and y maximum value of 5. Lastly, I set the axis to x to give the weight driver node some initial orientation. With these settings in place, I create the weight driver. We can see that the new weight driver node is oriented towards the x-axis, but needs to be rotated for my particular purpose. One thing to note here is that I need to make another adjustment because I have the angle option enabled as well. Since the default weight driver is based on a target vector, the target locator node has a positional offset to the weight driver node. We can see this by expanding the control in the outliner and finding the target locator as the child of the control. To make the distance feature work correctly, I need to remove this offset and place the locator at the control. This would have not happened if I would have turned angle off. If only distance is used, the locator is placed without the offset. To demonstrate this, I first delete the weight driver and then create a new one with angle disabled. Now we can see that the locator is placed at the same position as the control. After rotating the weight driver and moving the control, the shape gets affected by the move distance of the control. Of course, the distance is currently calculated in all directions. To further control it, I turn angle back on and adjust the range value of the weight driver cone. If it's necessary to further refine the interpolation of the output value, select the weight driver node and open the attribute editor. Set the interpolation to curve and use the blend curve attributes to adjust the shape of interpolation to your needs.